first off, books. Is there anything in particular you would recommend in these areas?
Yeah, so any of the books by both of the Gotham, so it's a husband and wife duo, both doctors, Gotham Institute, any of their stuff is really, really interesting around relationships. Then something much closer to home is Tony Humphries' work, Myself, My Partner, absolutely fantastic book. A lot of his books are fantastic, but that particular book really speaks to some of the kind of entanglements we can get into in relationships. And
could you give an example of a healthy relationship boundary?
Healthy relationship boundary is one in which you can respect the relationship and you respect your own needs. The piece of the relationship where we share the space is where we start to actually say, okay, what are your needs from this? What are my needs from this? And how do we meet our own needs first and foremost, and support each other meeting our own needs? So there isn't a set rule. It's more a way of going about relationships. So making sure that you aren't sacrificing yourself or you aren't neglecting your own needs in order to show up in the relationship. So ideally, when you show up in a relationship, you're showing up as a full person with your own needs met as best possible, in the best possible way that you can. And then you're sharing the opportunity for your partner or your colleague or your friend to meet your needs in an appropriate way.
Just, I suppose, in relation to the concept of bids, and is that how they might differ according to personality traits, or more a reaction to them might differ according to our personality traits.
But if we see every time a human being tries to make contact with us in some way as a bid, and we presume positive intent, we're going to find it much easier to respond to bids well. And what I will say is the best way that I've learned about it, so I learned about it in theory, but how I learned about it in practice was with children, nieces, nephews, friends, kids. Children don't have as many knockbacks on the bids. They're a lot more direct and a little bit more demanding at times. And they're bids. And even the child that pulls back and like sulks in the corner, that's a bid. It's come see me, I'm here. So if you can notice contact with people, it's going to be much easier just to see bids without having to, work through all the different kind of ways of connection or trying to know everything about attachment. If every time someone makes contact with you, you see it as a bid, you're actually already kind of a step ahead. And if you watch children, you'll see how they do bids. It's much clearer with them. They're not as discreet as I find adults have learned to be.
How would you describe a great relationship? Or how could you describe what is a healthy relationship? What's it meant to look like and feel like?
Generally, what's healthy in a relationship is the right combination for what you need as a person to thrive. And that's going to be different for everyone. Healthy is dependent on your needs, your attachment needs, your emotional needs, your physical needs, your psychological needs. And that's why knowing what you want and what you need is the starting point to a great relationship or a healthy relationship. The great relationship part, I think, is a step further than healthy. It's where we know ourselves well enough and our partners know themselves well enough, or the people we're relating to know themselves well enough, that we can actually know what we need from the relationship, and that's able to be met in that relationship. So a great relationship really starts with you meeting your own needs as best possible, and then you having the ability to relate effectively, to understand what other people need and what other people are offering you as well.
The Tony Humphries book we have, but someone is just looking again for the name of the other author and book. I think it was the Gottman.
Yeah, the Gottman Institute. So if you look up the Gottman Institute, because I can't remember their first names, it's a husband and wife, they're both doctors, but they have an institute, and they've written multiple times together and separately. And any of their books, I think, would be very beneficial.